One of the concepts that we're going to talk about is global competitiveness of manufacturing in the U.S. versus manufacturing in China. In 1978, if you go back historically, and this is from a website called Trading Economics, and what's shown here is the rise of the wage on an annual basis in China. Just to give you an idea, from 1978 to 2020, comparatively speaking, what the average wage in manufacturing was and is. In 1978, China, when you calculate their annual wage and correlate it and convert it to U.S. currency and then divide it by number of hours, you get about 4 cents per hour in 1978. Looking at the graphs from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the website Trading Economics, at the time in 1978, it was about $5 an hour in the U.S. So that's a factor of 125 times, 4 cents versus $5. In 1995, China had gone from 4 cents an hour to 37.5 cents per hour, roughly. Yeah, the U.S. at the time, in about 1995, had gone up to about $12.50 an hour. And then 2010 had gone up to about $18.50 per hour. And so now you can see that we're starting to bridge the gap and become a lot closer to the point where in 2020, the average wage in manufacturing is over $23 an hour, and China has gone up to $5.74, which is a factor of 4 to 5 times. So you can see we've gone from 125 times the wage of China to 33 times the wage of China, to 8 or 9 times the wage of China, down to 4 or 5 times the wage of China. So what we want to talk about is the other cost above and beyond just the labor. But let's start with labor. In this particular example, which is a hoodie or a sweatshirt, the labor content in the U.S. is $16.93. Conversely, in China is $5.50. So you do much to the same point we were making. We were a factor of 4 to 5 times from the labor cost in terms of the hourly wage. And here you see it's somewhere around 3 times more expensive in the U.S. from a labor standpoint. The hardware itself, which I'm going to guess is maybe the zipper, in China is $1.40 and in the U.S. is $1.90. The trim operation, once again this is a labor cost, the trimming operation on this particular part is $1.30 in the U.S. The ribbing operation, which has to do with, I think, the elastic around the waistband area, in China appears to be $6.20, and in the U.S., $6.06. The fabric, the body fabric, in China is $12.20, and in the U.S. it's $11.30. Transportation is 54 cents in the U.S. and in China is $1.70. Duty, in the U.S. there is no duty on U.S. made products if it's made in the U.S. and there's a $3.54 duty on the China made product. So when everything's totaled, China, the total cost is $31.46. And the U.S. is $38.03. So the point to be made here is that the labor is a significant cost, but it's not the whole picture. But I think the big element for small businesses especially to consider is the total time to market. China, it takes somewhere between 90 to 180 days to get your product to market, where in the U.S. it's somewhere between 30 to 60 days. So in order to be responsive, depending on what market you're in, you can see that there's a huge variable here that we're 30 days sooner than the quickest time in China. And we can talk about quality. That's a whole nother metric that we haven't talked about in terms of quality of manufacture. But I think the other component that we haven't really talked about is IP, intellectual property. Anything that goes overseas, you're at risk from an intellectual property standpoint. That's very hard to control. When you take in this component and you take in this component, those are two not necessarily easily quantifiable or measurable metrics that can make a huge difference. Your time that it takes to go to market and your risk of losing your competitive edge and your intellectual property. So when you consider all the variables, certainly labor is a component, but it's a much, much more complex equation than just considering just the labor.